What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol NKE for Nike Inc. On the left-hand side, we have the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. First things first, I need to let you know they gave us an earnings announcement after the bell today, so let's flip on the extended hour session here and see what's going on with the number. And my goodness, you could probably see that from a mile away. A nice spurt of green among a sea of red here on the daily time frame, so fairly refreshing, I might say. So, of course, we want to know where the overnight high is. We want to know where the forecasted opening print is. Let's just go with here. It's jumping around on me. And we also want to know where today's high of day was. Of course, what we're about to discuss is a framework for dealing with gap ups. And as of right now, it looks likely that we will open on a gap up, but please adjust accordingly for the open at 9:30 when the bell is actually about to ring. So we're going to turn this off, eliminate some distractions here, and talk about scenarios over on the daily time frame chart. Of course, we are sort of gapping up in a downtrend, so that is noteworthy here. Anyone late to the party on the short side during today's session is probably going to be feeling some pain, I would imagine, as they wake up tomorrow morning. And it's not to say that the price has to squeeze all the way back to the highs. And again, I use that term squeeze very lightly on the channel. However, there could just be some added buying pressure of anyone who got short here looking for lower inside of Nike, who's feeling the pressure essentially of the position working against them if they're short on this gap up. So do look for that to be added fuel to the fire if the upside does pan out. So whenever we're dealing with gaps, though, we know we have a framework, we know we have scenarios to put into place. So scenario number one is always the gap and trap. Doesn't matter what the direction is, it's always the same, right? If we open here and fail to attract new buyers up and over the overnight high, you're looking for shorts back down through the open to close the gap. Now there's multiple gaps in play, noting that we had a gap down this morning from Friday into Monday. So maybe the first top of the gap does support us. We would just want to know roughly where 160.50 is, which is Friday's low. Okay, so that's the first downside target again on a gap and trap. Failed move higher up and over the overnight high, short back down through the open. Number one scenario, gap and trap here inside of Nike. Number two is, of course, the gap and go. And based on the people who shorted today, and based on the fact that, again, they could be feeling some pain here, maybe this actually flips the script here, and we actually should look at scenario number two as being the more likely one instead of scenario number one. So to give you an idea of what the gap and go looks like, basically opening here, bull flag consolidation off the open could look like a sort of ascending triangle, so higher lows. Basically anything that sets up a breakout up and over 164.50 should take us higher into the next obvious area of daily support and resistance. Based on what we have here, prior support should turn into resistance overhead at 166.77. It's also very close to the daily 50 SMA, the blue line on the chart. So to me, it makes sense as a perfect overhead target, noting also that, there's been a lot of buying pressure that was exerted in the overnight session, right? You don't really want to add on too much extension on top of that on the earnings announcement if it's going to remain a healthy move at least. Anything above that, if the move does extend beyond that area we just discussed, we should of course point out the fact that we do have a resistance trend line, right? Something that looks like this. It's not the prettiest thing, noting that our highs and then set of highs in here technically pierce through, but this is really what we're looking for, a better fit instead of something roughly that was way out here in like 174-ish area, right? To me, this would be much more realistic as a first area of potentially lower highs, right? If you're thinking about this as the overall trend here on the daily, maybe we come into it and resist. I probably would think about that as a likely scenario, again, if we get here in the first place, noting that we're coming up from the bottom, quote unquote, and a significant amount of buying has been done. I would watch for a higher low pullback and then maybe a break into the future here, but the resistance trend line should be strong on the first touch based on where we're coming from here. So that's Nike in a nutshell. It really boils down to, do we get scenario number two, the gap and go, which again, we did flip the script here, or scenario number one for the gap and trap, the short trade to look for the gap to fill underneath us. If you enjoyed the video today or learned anything new, let me know in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description. And all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.